Wisconsin Eye is at the Democratic State Convention in Milwaukee, interviewing Congressman Mark Pocan. Mark, thanks for taking a few minutes.
Of course.
Now, you said you've been spending so much time on the trade issue. Let me ask you this. The impact on Wisconsin, because we're the second or third highest manufacturing state, is that the reason it's been taking so much of your time? What are the potential implications for Wisconsin?
A badly crafted trade deal, which has been most of the trade deals we've had for many reasons, cost more American jobs that go overseas or to Mexico, and they depress our wages here. And when you have as much manufacturing as we have in Wisconsin,
yes,
you see companies keep leaving, whether it be Parker Penn, the 1,100 jobs at one time in Janesville you had, and the last 150 left a few years ago, or just a few months ago in Darlington, Wisconsin, population 2,400 in Lafayette County in my district,
yes,
36 jobs went to Mexico. They've applied for trade adjustment assistance. That's like losing 3,600 jobs in Madison, Wisconsin. 36 jobs in a community of 2,400. So we still see these things happen, and it's not just manufacturing, it's service sector, it's other things. So I'm trying to fight for trade deals that protect American jobs and increase our wages here, and unfortunately, the Trans-Pacific Partnership that we're being asked to give fast-track authority on doesn't do that.
Well, where does it stand? So you're working against it? You're working against your president.
I'm working against giving fast-track authority to the executive branch, because if we do that, the Constitution says Congress has oversight. We would be giving up our ability to amend the trade deal. We'd be limiting our amount of debate to roughly a little over 2 minutes per member of Congress.
Wow.
For a trade deal that encompasses 40% of the world's gross domestic product.
Yes.
And interestingly, and hasn't got a lot of attention, is this is not just giving fast-track authority to this president for this trade deal, but it's for 6 years, really. It's 3 years without an affirmative vote of Congress. It continues to 6 years for any trade deal. That means this president, the next president, God help us, President Walker, and potentially the next president. So it's a lot to give away when we have to protect the jobs that are right here and the wages that are here.
Republicans like Paul Ryan are fighting for it. Why?
Well, multinational corporations love it. The big donors to the Republican Party and to people who run for the White House love it. They're going to make even more money. But right now we know that while the economy's come back, 60-plus straight months of unemployment getting better, the gross domestic product is back, the stock market has doubled from where it crashed, everything is up, productivity is way up, but wages are dead flat. So someone's got to fight for the workers who get these jobs to make sure that we're not only protecting those jobs but having an increase in our wages. And I don't really care what multinational company CEOs care about, but some people do.
Okay. Now, we're at the Democratic State Convention. You're a Democratic strategist, one of the best in Wisconsin. You probably didn't go to the U.S. House to be in the minority forever, right?
Right.
There's only 188 Democrats in the House. I think there's only 18 Democratic governors. Give me a plan by which your party gains control of Congress in X number of years.
Sure. I think the last election cycle is a classic example of what we've done wrong. We didn't talk to people about what they care about. There's a great article in the New York Times that talked about the white male voter, 30 to 55, used to make 25, 30 bucks an hour. Their job went overseas, and now they can make 10 bucks an hour. So talking about the minimum wage increase to $10 doesn't mean a whole lot to them. They can make 10 bucks an hour, but you can't pay your mortgage, and you can't send your kids to college at 10 bucks an hour. We didn't talk enough about what we would do in a positive manner and not be afraid of what we need to do to make the country work for everyone, including those kind of people. And that's the real problem. We didn't have those discussions, and the public showed it. They didn't vote. 36 to 37% turnout nationwide. Now, we did better in Wisconsin because I think we do turn out a little better and we have a better history of voting. But in general, we didn't talk to people about those pocketbook issues that you talk about at your kitchen table. I think we need to do that better. We need to talk about things like pay equity and paid sick leave and things that actually improve a family's life so that their kids have better opportunities than they have. That's the kind of conversation we have to have. We got to quit talking about how you're going to cut Social Security or Medicare to make it work. Instead, let's talk about how you expand Social Security and Medicare. And you can, and there's ways you can do that concretely and make anyone have a good quality retirement. But those are the sort of issues that we can't be afraid to talk about. And if we get lost talking about trade deals that are going to send more jobs overseas, we're still not talking to a voter. I really think it's how we show what we stand for, because our agenda really is the people's agenda.
Is Hillary Clinton the best one to bring that argument, Congressman?
Well, we're going to find out what happens through the primary system. I would guess at this point, if I was going to be a betting man, and I am in a casino right now, I would bet that Hillary Clinton is going to be the nominee. So part of what I'm doing right now is talking to people like her campaign, like the Bernie Sanders campaign, about what I would like to see us talking about. I recently signed on to a platform that Mayor Bill de Blasio from New York put out there, which I think shows a populist economic program that we'd like to see the candidates talk about, and that's the kind of work I'm doing.
And in Wisconsin, does it start the next election cycle with electing Senator Feingold?
There's no question Russ Feingold is a key part of all this. It's an important swing district. Russ had enormous respect from the people of Wisconsin. 2010 threw everyone out, but I think Russ is going to come back and get elected to the Senate, and we need to ride that wave and maybe start that wave nationally, and I think we have the capacity to do that.
How long until the pendulum, both in the Wisconsin Assembly and Senate, swings back to your party?
I think it's already hit the wall. We're just waiting for it to pry out of the rock right now. I mean, when you cut the UW as much as you do, and you cut public education in the middle of the night, you expand taxpayer-funded vouchers. When you're telling a woman that it's cool to get a vaginal ultrasound, when you look at the agenda they put forth, that's not the agenda of the people of Wisconsin. And I think that they've already gone way past that pendulum point, and now it's our chance to talk about that, but more importantly, talk about what we do different. You can't just complain about other people, but we have to say, one, we haven't always done things right. I think we need to admit that and say what we do differently.
You're just in from Washington. What's the Washington buzz on Governor Walker now? He continues to be considered a top-tier candidate. Is he getting stronger?
I'll tell you, he's considered a top-tier candidate compared to everyone else, right? And that's a real important part. Right now, at this time, 4 years ago, Michelle Bachmann was in the same position Scott Walker was in the polls in Iowa. And clearly, she didn't become president or vice president or relevant. So I don't know if you can judge a whole lot. My guess is that as we get closer to those primaries and caucuses in the Republican Party, if Scott Walker is showing some viability, he will have attacks from other Republican candidates on his dismal job performance and on his record, things that we often talked about, you're going to hear Republicans talk about, because as I talk to pollsters and others, I mean, that's a record that's not a great record to run on, and I think he will have a lot of difficulties as we get much, much closer to those Republican primaries.
If Hillary is your party's nominee, who do you think will be the GOP's nominee, Mark?
I think the safe bet at this point, and again, it's early to bet, it doesn't mean a lot, but I would have to think that Jeb Bush still has an inside track. The Republican Party likes to go with the institutional favorite. He would still be that, I think. So I think you could have a dynasty race, potentially a Clinton-Bush race, but then if you talk about issues, there's no question we win on balance on the issues.
You're a former chairman of Joint Finance in the Capitol. The details now have just been announced on the Milwaukee Bucks deal. If you were still in the Assembly, would you vote for that?
Honestly, I have not seen the details. I just flew back in last night.
I understand.
So I couldn't say that exactly. I do think, though, that it is important that we retain the Milwaukee Bucks. In fact, I like to think of them as the Wisconsin Bucks. It's a young team. There's new owners, and I think it's something that's important to the character of Wisconsin. So I think as much as you can craft something that is fair and isn't a burden on hardworking Wisconsinites and their taxes, in order to do that, there's definitely an economic benefit to having the Bucks stay in Wisconsin.
Okay, you're about to speak to the convention, so the last question is, give us a preview. How are you going to motivate these delegates?
I think we motivate them on their aspirations, what they'd really like to see us do if we were back in office. If you talk about those things, again, helping lift wages, keeping jobs in America, how to make sure that we're fighting for what people really care about, access to health care, good quality public schools. If we talk about the issues that are relevant to real people, we will win. People agree with us poll after poll after poll, and we can't be afraid of those values because the people agree with us. If we have the people's back, they'll have ours, and we can be successful in 2016.
Congressman Mark Pocan, thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.